let's start with a few words about you. Maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit so that anyone who hasn't been here quickly understands who are you, what do you do, and from what position did you came here to talk about dual-use technologies?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm the Assistant Director for Mission Innovation X. They're an initiative under the Massachusetts Institute of Technology focused on dual-use innovation and education. So through that we have a number of courses that we teach to a variety of stakeholders in the dual-use ecosystem, everything from government to industry, startups, accelerators, and other universities. So we teach those courses to help understand different concepts in dual-use teaching, everything from supply chain management to your capital funding stack. And then I also run an incubator that's focused on dual-use research, which works with, we have 35 undergraduates and 6 graduate researchers working on interesting challenges in the defense innovation space.
Okay, now let's discuss a little bit the concept of dual-use technology. I get the feeling that, so let's say in Romania, maybe at this point, VC, startups and all this stuff now became more of a general concept that is pretty much very well understood, but about dual-use technology, I think we are at the start of knowing what does this mean. So maybe you could explain a little bit what's this dual-use technology, and then what's your perception of what's happening in Romania and in the region?
Okay. So I think the best way to answer this is the traditional definition of dual-use technology is any technology that has both a commercial and a government application. The MIT definition is that dual use is a strategy for innovation that startups can use to risk their technology and diversify their funding and get credibility from both sides of the market. So it just benefits them. And then governments and nations can use a dual use strategy to help reinvest into their own national infrastructure. And it's an opportunity to open up additional funding pipelines and build stronger relationships with other allied nations. So that's our kind of definition.
Okay, and what's your perception of what's happening in Romania, maybe in the whole region?
Yes. So from the Romanian perspective, I think you're at a bit of a nexus right now, or a convergence of different opportunities. The way that Romania responded during the grain crisis, retrofitting the port of Constanța to act as a natural pipeline for agriculture, and your existing infrastructure in IT talent, automotive manufacturing, and energy resilience sort of set you up for success with what we're already looking for, with what frontline end users are already looking for. And then I think from that perspective, there's the policy shifts that are happening as of December to really enable startups to secure foreign direct investment, to engage with allied nations. It's been a lot more conducive to enable rapid procurement. So there's that aspect of the convergence happening. And then the third, I would say, is sort of the increased relationship with the US and Romania. I'd say that transatlantic relationship and strengthening of capabilities from both sides, I think, is just sort of why Romania is really well poised to step into the dual-use ecosystem in the next 12 to 24 months.
You presented some, I think, 5 key steps that Romania should follow in order to foster this development. So maybe you could sum up the key things that we should do in order to enable even more the dual-use technology.
Yes. So I think, if I remember right, one of the first steps was to establish, carve out a legal framework so that it's easy for dual-use companies to work with allied nations. Right? So from an export control perspective and from an IP perspective, it's also important that the equity mechanisms and the opportunity for VCs to work very, very closely with startups and almost attach VC funding to government milestones is a terrific use of sort of both non-dilutive and dilutive funding. Right, so think of it as like a VC sidecar to a government contract is a great way to bridge those two gaps. You already have a great relationship with mid-level funding sources like Raiffeisen, but those banks only invest in companies that have 5 million plus in output. So they're looking to see what early stage startups can do to bridge those gaps and to have longevity. So what Romanian companies can do is focus on securing revenue from sales early, focus on getting non-dilutive funding to prototype, and then go after risk capital to scale. So that's the other aspect. And then from the just more generic, I would say, holistic approach, know your customer. Right? Really understand that the defense customer is rarely ever one person. It's usually a combination of 4 or 5. There's the end user, the authorizer, the buyer, then there's the influencer, which is usually the technical point of contact that actually tells you if it's physically possible. And then there's the gatekeeper, which is usually the program executive officer who has a budget to meet and has the requirements set. And you have to basically connect those all together. So know your customer, because it's never going to be the same person. And then finally, I would say enter into non-traditional collaborative opportunities. So such as the MIT partnership that we have with InnovX, where essentially we are able to collaborate on educational opportunities. And because we're collaborating on educational opportunities, there's a natural sort of osmosis effect that happens where we're now introduced to Romanian companies and universities and government.
When we talk to Romanian defense tech startups, they tell us that there is a huge bottleneck at this point when discussing with the state and army and so on. So they are having meetings, but then, like Pavel from Poland said, there is a black hole. Time seems to stop. So I don't know who should be or who could be the best evangelist for these dual-use technologies, who could unlock things, or should it be government, army, or maybe more discussions like those enabled today by InnovX? So what should happen?
Yeah.
If there is a success story in other countries, or?
I think it's a team initiative. I don't think a single organization can do it. I do think that each stakeholder needs to do what they do best and avoid doing what they do poorly. Right. So the government is great at setting up a demand signal. And clarifying what the problems are that they're looking to have solved. They're a great source of grant funding, but they need to set up framework agreements and really easy mechanisms for startups to work with them and get out of the way. That's the other aspect too. They need to be able to let innovators innovate without driving requirements too much. And then from the university side and from other enablers, they need to start building up relationships with government partners more and risk capital providers so that you can have very specified patient funding sources. I think the other aspect too is that we have a sister organization called Proto Ventures that basically embeds what we call venture builders into universities. Essentially, they act as sort of like pseudo CEOs that get partnered with a researcher to build a company from the ground up within the university. And those are ideal because what they'll do is focus on market pull rather than tech push. And it enables the ability to find out if an innovative, novel dual-use technology has a commercial and government application. And if it does, they help coach them from the ground up and build it. So I would say embedding government and military end users with academia and accelerators to get that initial market pull validation, and then embedding startup with government partners in defense to understand what the real world application of their technology would be.